The scent of blood and cold stone fills her lungs. Stephanie Nightshade is running, her bare feet slapping against the damp, frozen flagstones of a castle she's never seen. A blood moon hangs heavy in the sky, painting the world in shades of crimson and ink. Her heart is a frantic drum against her ribs, a prey animal rhythm of pure terror. She can hear him behind her. The rhythm of his pursuit is not a run. It's a stalking pace, deliberate, inevitable. "Turn around," a voice in her head screams. "See his face. You have to see it." She whirls, stumbling back against a cold wall. He emerges from the shadows, a mountain of lethal grace and royal fury. Alpha King Obed Shadowbane. His eyes are not the soft brown of the portraits, but molten gold, burning with an inner fire that promises annihilation. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The prophecy does that for him, a whisper on the wind that has haunted her since childhood. And the king shall secure his reign and spare his realm only by the blood of his destined mate. He raises a clawed hand. The moonlight glints off the sharp, polished points. Stephanie's breath hitches, a sob trapped in her throat. This is it. This is how it ends. She closes her eyes and bolts upright in her narrow bed at Silver Moon Academy, a scream dying on her lips. Sunlight streams through her window. The familiar scent of old books and polished wood replaces the dream's metallic terror. Her skin is slick with cold sweat, her hands trembling as she presses them to her face. It was just a dream. It's always just a dream. But the ache in her chest, the phantom pain where his claws were meant to tear into her, feels utterly real. She can still see those golden eyes burned onto the back of her eyelids. Today is the day the royal entourage arrives at the academy. Today she will have to look into those eyes for real and pretend her entire world isn't about to shatter.
The Grand Hall of Silver Moon Academy is a cacophony of polished armor, rustling silk, and the low hum of anxious excitement. Stephanie stands with the other students from minor or fallen houses, a splash of muted gray in a sea of vibrant colors. She keeps her head down, focusing on the intricate carvings on the floor, trying to make herself small, invisible. A hush falls so complete it feels like a physical blow. The massive oak doors swing open. The air changes, thickening with the oppressive weight of pure, untamed alpha power. It smells of ozone, of pine forests after a storm, of something ancient and deadly. Stephanie's wolf whimpers inside her, a submissive curl of instinct she has to fight to control. She doesn't need to look up to know he's here. Her entire body knows it. Her blood feels like it's singing a terrified, mournful tune. She forces her gaze upward. King Obed Shadowbane moves through the hall like a conqueror, his black armor seeming to drink the light from the room. His face is a mask of cold, regal indifference, but his eyes scan the crowd, and they are the exact, terrifying gold from her dream. Stephanie's breath catches. Her heart stutters, then kicks into a frantic, painful gallop. This is it, the moment he sees her. The moment he recognizes the one he's destined to kill. His gaze sweeps over her section of the hall. It pauses for a fraction of a second on a noble's daughter in a bright blue dress, then moves on. It slides right over Stephanie without a flicker of recognition. He doesn't see her. He doesn't feel the earth-shattering significance of her presence. To him, she is just another face in the crowd, another subject from a house that no longer matters. The relief is so potent it makes her dizzy, but it's immediately followed by a strange, hollow ache. The mate bond is a silent, screaming thing in her soul, and his utter obliviousness is a rejection more profound than any spoken insult. He is her destiny, but she is not his. Not yet.
The formal reception is a special kind of torture. Stephanie stands rigidly at the periphery, a glass of untouched moon wine in her hand, tracking Obed's every move. He is surrounded by fawning lords and simpering ladies, all vying for a moment of the new king's attention. Lord Cassius, a wolf with slipped-back silver hair and a smile that doesn't reach his cold eyes, is never far from his side. Stephanie watches as Obed listens to a report from his beta, Stefan, a man with a kind face but weary eyes. The king's responses are clipped, efficient. There is no warmth in him. He's a statue carved from duty and ice. This is the man from her dreams? This cold, remote ruler? Her wolf stirs again, not in fear this time, but in confusion. The bond pulls at her, a taut wire connecting her heart to his, begging her to close the distance. She takes an involuntary step forward, her body moving without her conscious permission. As if feeling the subtle shift, Obed's head turns. His golden eyes lock directly onto hers. The world narrows to that single point of connection. The noise of the hall fades into a dull roar. The air crackles. She feels a jolt, a searing heat that starts in her core and radiates out to her fingertips. It's not pain. It's recognition. His eyes widen almost imperceptibly. The mask of indifference cracks, revealing a glimpse of sheer, unadulterated shock. His nostrils flare, as if catching a scent he never thought to find. Her scent. For 3 endless heartbeats, they are the only 2 people in the universe. The prophecy, the court, the academy, it all melts away. There is only the terrifying, exhilarating truth of the bond snapping into place with the force of a tidal wave. He sees her. He truly sees her, and the look in his eyes isn't one of a hunter finding his prey, but of a man who has just found the one thing he never knew he was searching for, and the one thing he's destined to destroy.
The spell shatters. Obed's expression slams shut, the mask of the unfeeling king back in place so quickly, Stephanie wonders if she imagined the whole thing. He turns abruptly back to Beta Stefan, dismissing her existence entirely. The sudden severance of that connection is a physical pain, a coldness that sinks deep into her bones. She stumbles back, bumping into a small table. The clatter of her glass draws attention. "Clumsy, isn't she?" a voice sneers, too loud. It's Lady Alara, one of Cassius's sycophants. "Then again, what can you expect from the Nightshades? A fallen house with a daughter who's more ghost than wolf, always jumping at shadows." Laughter ripples through the nearby group. Heat floods Stephanie's cheeks. She can feel dozens of eyes on her, curious, mocking, pitiful. This is her humiliation. This is her place. The seer from the insignificant house, an easy target for their cruelty. She wants to disappear into the floor. Enough! The voice is not loud, but it carries the weight of absolute authority. It silences the laughter instantly. King Obed isn't even looking at them. He's examining a tapestry on the far wall, as if it's the most fascinating thing he's ever seen. But the command was his. He heard. He intervened. But why? Out of pity? Or because the one he's fated to kill is his to torment and no one else's? The ambiguity is worse than the mockery. He offered protection and a reminder of her low status in the same breathless moment. She is utterly exposed, and the weight of his fleeting, anonymous mercy is heavier than any insult.
Stephanie flees the hall, her composure in tatters. She needs air, space, anything to get away from those golden eyes and the whispering court. She finds a deserted balcony, overlooking the moonlit gardens, gripping the cold stone railing until her knuckles turn white. She can still feel him. The bond is a live wire in her chest, humming with his proximity. It's a feeling of rightness, of home, that directly contradicts every fiber of her self-preservation. The scent of ozone and storm-washed pine envelops her a second before he speaks. "You should not be out here alone." She whirls around. He stands in the doorway, blocking her exit, silhouetted by the light from the hall. The king. Her mate. Her killer. Up close, he is even more formidable. Power radiates from him in waves, and her wolf responds with a mixture of primal fear and desperate longing. I needed air, she manages, her voice barely a whisper. He takes a step forward, and the space on the balcony shrinks. What is your name? His voice is low, a rough caress that does nothing to calm her racing heart. Stephanie. Stephanie Nightshade. Saying her name feels like signing her own death warrant. Nightshade. He tests the word on his tongue. A poison. And a cure. His gaze is intense, searching her face as if looking for answers to questions he hasn't asked. He takes another step. He's close enough now that she can see the flecks of amber in his gold eyes, close enough to touch. The mate bond screams at her to reach out, to close the distance. Instead, she takes a panicked step back, her hips pressing against the stone railing. There's nowhere left to go. His eyes drop to her throat, to the frantic pulse beating there. His own jaw clenches, a muscle ticking in his cheek. Is he fighting the bond too? Or is he fighting the urge to fulfill the prophecy right here, right now? He leans in, and for a heart-stopping moment, she thinks he's going to kiss her. He whispers, his breath warm against her ear, "The dreams. Do you have them too?"
His question hangs in the air between them, a confession that changes everything. He knows. He feels the bond. He shares the dreams. This isn't a one-sided curse. The terror that has been her constant companion is now shared, a monstrous weight on his shoulders too. For a fleeting second, she sees not the mighty Alpha King, but a man trapped by a destiny as cruel as her own. The moment shatters as Lord Cassius appears in the doorway. "My king, the council awaits your review of the border security reports. It is, urgent." His eyes flick to Stephanie with barely concealed venom. "The concerns about rogue wolves, they are escalating." The mention of rogue wolves, a direct threat to his kingdom, is a deliberate wrench pulling Obed back to his duty. The vulnerability in his eyes is snuffed out, replaced by cold, hard purpose. The king is back. He straightens, putting distance between them, the space feeling like a chasm. "Of course," Obed says, his voice once more the emotionless tone of a ruler. He doesn't look at Stephanie again. He turns and follows Cassius back inside, leaving her alone on the balcony. The cold night air feels suddenly frigid. He didn't deny it. He didn't threaten her. He asked about the dreams, and then left. What does it mean? The hope that flickered for a second is now a dangerous, fragile thing in her chest. But as she looks down at the shadows twisting in the gardens below, a new chill runs down her spine. Cassius's interruption was no accident. He knows something. He sees the connection, and he doesn't like it. The king might be conflicted, but his enemies are not. They will push him toward the prophecy. They will make sure he fulfills it. And she is now well and truly in their sights.
The Academy Library is her sanctuary, a cavern of silence and dust. Stephanie runs her fingers over leather-bound spines, trying to lose herself in histories of past kings and wars. But every word blurs. All she can see is the look in Obed's eyes on the balcony, the shock, the recognition, the torment. He feels it too. The knowledge is a lit candle in a dark room, both comforting and terrifying. It means she's not insane. It also means the prophecy is in motion. A shadow falls over the reading table. She looks up, her heart leaping into her throat, half expecting, half dreading to see the king. It's his sister. Princess Celeste leans against the bookshelf, her arms crossed. She has the same striking features as her brother, but where his are carved from ice, hers are open, curious. "You're the one," Celeste says, no accusation in her tone, just blunt assessment. "The one who's got my brother acting like he's seen a ghost. Or worse, a future he doesn't want." Stephanie's mouth dries up. "I don't know what you mean, Your Highness." "Don't bother." Celeste waves a hand. dropping into the chair opposite her. I felt the powers spike last night from the other side of the castle. The mate bond doesn't exactly whisper, especially not one that... complicated. She studies Stephanie, her head tilted. He's avoiding you. Locked himself in the war room with Cassius and his generals since dawn. Classic Obed. When he doesn't know how to deal with something, he tries to strategize it into submission. Stephanie's fragile hope flickers. Avoiding her. Strategizing. That doesn't sound like a man embracing his mate. It sounds like a general assessing a threat. What should I do? The question escapes before she can stop it. Celeste's expression softens. Survive. And, for the moon goddess's sake, stop looking so much like a scared rabbit. This court smells fear like blood. My brother might be conflicted, but the wolves circling him are not. She stands to leave, pausing to add, and for what it's worth, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you last night. Like the world finally made sense right before it ended. With that ominous comfort, the princess leaves Stephanie alone, more confused than ever.
He's everywhere. Now that the bond is awake, it's a constant, humming awareness in her blood. She feels him moving through the castle, a distant storm cloud on the edge of her consciousness. In the combat yards, she watches from a high window as he trains with his warriors. He moves with a lethal, beautiful grace, all power and controlled violence. He doesn't look at her, but she feels his awareness like a physical touch. Her own muscles twitch in sympathy with his movements. During a politics lecture, he enters the hall to observe. He takes a seat at the back. The instructor's voice becomes a nervous stutter. Stephanie feels the heat of his gaze on the back of her neck, a brand. She can't breathe. She can't think. The bond pulls at her, a relentless tide, urging her to turn around, to go to him. She risks a glance. He's not looking at the instructor. He's watching her, his expression unreadable, his jaw tight. Their eyes meet. The air crackles. A low, involuntary sound, almost a whimper, escapes her throat. The student next to her gives her a strange look. Obed's eyes darken, and he looks away first, his fists clenching on the desk. The rejection is a physical blow. But an hour later, as she leaves the hall, a small folded piece of parchment is pressed into her hand by a passing guard. She unfolds it with trembling fingers. There's no name, only 3 words written in a sharp, authoritative script. The West Balcony. Midnight. Her heart stops. A command? A trap? The pull of the bond is absolute, an answer to a question she's too afraid to ask. She will go. She has no choice.
The castle is silent, asleep. Stephanie slips through the moonlit corridors, a ghost in her own life. Every shadow could be Cassius. Every sound could be her doom. She reaches the west balcony, hidden by a curtain of ancient wisteria. He's already there, a broad silhouette against the night sky, his back to her. You came. His voice is rough, quieter than she's ever heard it. You commanded, she whispers, her voice trembling. He turns. The moonlight softens the harsh lines of his face. He looks tired. It wasn't a command. The admission seems to cost him. It was a request. The space between them is charged, the mate bond a live wire screaming for connection. He takes a step closer, and she holds her ground, tilting her head up to meet his gaze. The gold of his eyes is muted in the silver light. He says, the words torn from him, the dreams, every night, for years. I never saw your face, only the feeling of utter devastation, of loss. I thought it was the kingdom falling. I never knew it was... He can't finish. He looks down at his hands, the hands that in her dreams are weapons. This bond, it is inconvenient. A hysterical laugh bubbles in her throat. Inconvenient? You're destined to kill me to save your kingdom, and you call it inconvenient? His eyes flash, finally meeting hers with a spark of the fire she's seen in her dreams. What would you call it? A blessing? He takes another step, invading her space. He doesn't touch her, but she can feel the heat of his body. His scent envelops her, pine and storm and king. Her resolution is crumbling. What do you want? His control snaps. His hand comes up, not to strike, but to cradle her jaw, his thumb stroking her cheek. The touch is electric, a jolt of pure lightning that arcs through her entire body. A broken sound escapes him. You, he whispers, his voice raw with a hunger that has nothing to do with prophecy and everything to do with the primal pull between them. Against all reason, against all duty, I want you.
His confession hangs between them, a dangerous, beautiful truth. For a long moment, they just breathe each other in, his forehead resting against hers, the world narrowed to this point of contact. The prophecy feels like a distant nightmare. The vision hits her without warning. One moment she's on the balcony, the next she's plunged into a waking dream. She sees Obed on his throne, his face etched with grief and rage. Cassius stands before him, gesturing wildly. The rogue attacks increase, my king. The people are afraid. The prophecy must be fulfilled. Her death is the only way to restore stability. She sees a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes moving through a moonlit forest. The true threat, the one the rogues serve. She sees a knife clutched in Cassius's hand, dripping with a venom that smells of wolfsbane and deceit. She sees herself, standing on a precipice, Obed facing her, his eyes full of agony as he raises his claws. She gasps, wrenching back from Obed, her hand flying to her chest. The images fade, leaving her shaking, cold sweat beading on her skin. What is it? Obed's voice is sharp, alarmed. His hands are on her shoulders, steadying her. Stephanie? I saw. It's not just a prophecy. It's a lie, a manipulation. She looks up at him, her eyes wide with terror and clarity. The rogues, they're being led. Someone is orchestrating the attacks. To force your hand, to make you. Obed's face goes still, the king's mask slamming back into place, but his eyes are churning. A vision? She nods, trembling. Cassius, he was there. He was pushing you, and a knife. Wolfsbane. Obed releases her, turning away to grip the balcony railing, his knuckles white. She can feel the war inside him through the bond, duty and tradition shouting one thing, her desperate revelation whispering another. He trusts his counsel. He trusts the ancient words of the oracle, but he feels the truth in her fear, the raw honesty of the bond. The oracle's prophecy has guided us for generations. It is the foundation of our security. What if the foundation is rotten? She whispers. He is silent for a long time. When he turns back, his expression is unreadable. You will tell no one of this. Not your visions, not this meeting. It's not a request. It's an order from her alpha. I will look into the rogue attacks myself. It's a concession. A tiny, fragile crack in his wall of duty. He doesn't fully believe her, but he's willing to look. It's all she can hope for. He moves to leave, then pauses. The bond. It changes nothing about our situation. We are doomed. Remember that. But the way his eyes linger on her mouth betrays his words. He remembers the touch as vividly as she does.
The next day, the atmosphere at the academy is taut as a bowstring. King Obed is a whirlwind of focused, ruthless energy, drilling his warriors harder, barking orders, his mood a dark cloud that hangs over everyone. He doesn't look at Stephanie once. The king is in full control, and the man from the balcony is buried deep. Stephanie tries to focus in her supernatural history class, but her mind is a jumble of vision fragments and the memory of his touch. The instructor, an old wolf with spectacles, drones on about the Great War. And thus, the alliance with the Silver Fang pack was secured by the marriage of King Theron to the Alpha's daughter, Elara, a union that brought 50 years of peace. Union, alliance. An idea sparks in her mind, so sudden and so obvious, it makes her dizzy. The prophecy says he must secure his reign by her blood. But what if blood doesn't mean death? What if it means lineage, alliance? What if it means her blood joining with his through the mate bond to create a new, stronger line? The prophecy is ancient, its language poetic and open to interpretation. Could the solution be not in destruction, but in creation? The thought is so terrifyingly hopeful, she has to clutch the desk. She needs to find Obed. She needs to tell him. The class ends, and she all but runs into the corridor, searching for a glimpse of him, for Beta Stephen, for anyone. She turns a corner and nearly collides with Lord Cassius. He studies her with a grip that is just a little too tight, his fingers biting into her arms. His smile is a thin, cruel line. "Little seer," he purrs, his voice oily. "You seem agitated, troubled by bad dreams, perhaps?" His eyes gleam with malicious knowledge. He knows. He knows about the bond. He knows it's tormenting them both. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "A word of advice, girl. Some destinies are not meant to be avoided. The king has a duty, a sacred, bloody duty. Don't make it harder for him than it already is. The sooner he accepts his fate, the cleaner it will be for everyone." He releases her with a slight shove, his meaning clear. Stop fighting. Die quietly. He continues down the hall, leaving her frozen in place, her newfound hope shriveling under the heat of his threat.
Cassius's threat coils around her heart, a serpent of ice. He isn't just a skeptic. He's an active agent of the prophecy. He wants it to happen. Her theory about the prophecy's meaning now feels like a child's fantasy. This is real. This is deadly. Seeking solace, she finds herself in the Academy's sacred grove, a small circle of ancient trees where students go to meditate. She presses her palm against the rough bark of the oldest oak, trying to draw strength from it. She closes her eyes, focusing on her breathing, on the fragile connection to Obed, trying to push past her fear and send him a pulse of strength. The vision slams into her with the force of a physical blow. Fire. The castle is burning. Screams echo against stone. She sees Obed, not cold and regal, but wild with grief, his eyes blazing with golden fury as he fights a losing battle against shadowy figures with those same glowing red eyes from her previous vision. He is powerful, but he is alone. He is overwhelmed. She sees Cassius, not fighting, but watching from the shadows, a smile of triumph on his face. And she sees herself, lying at the foot of the throne, still, lifeless, a silver knife buried in her heart, Cassius's knife. Obed's roar of anguish is the most terrible sound she has ever heard. Her death did not save the kingdom, it doomed it. It broke its king and left it undefended. She jerks back from the tree, crying out. This was no fragment. This was a full, sensory premonition of the future that will happen if the prophecy is fulfilled. Cassius isn't trying to save the kingdom, he's trying to seize it from the chaos her death will create. Her death isn't the solution, it's the trigger for annihilation. Panic claws at her throat. She has to find Obed. She has to make him see. She stumbles out of the grove, her legs weak. She rounds a hedge, and there he is, walking with Beta Stephen, deep in discussion about patrol routes. He sees her panic-stricken face and stops dead. "Stephanie?" The concern in his voice is unmasked, immediate. Stefan looks on in surprise. She can't speak. She can only look at him, her eyes wide with the horror of what she's seen, tears streaming down her cheeks. She tries to form the words, Cassius, betrayal, fire, your doom, but her voice is gone. Obed takes a step toward her, his own fear for her palpable through the bond. "What is it? What's happened?" Before she can force the words out, a thunderous crash echoes from the main gate, followed by the piercing alarm howls of sentinels. Rogues, attacking the academy grounds right now. Obed's head snaps toward the sound, the king instantly overriding the man. His eyes harden. He looks from the source of the alarm back to her terrified face, and for a heart-wrenching second, she sees the impossible conflict, his kingdom under attack, and his mate standing before him, clearly in mortal terror. The vision, the attack, it's all connected, and he knows it. "Stefan, with me, now," he barks. He gives her one last agonized look, a silent promise that this isn't over. Then he turns and runs toward the battle, leaving her alone with the devastating knowledge of a future she doesn't know how to stop.
Chaos. The academy grounds are a whirlwind of snarls, shrieks of tearing metal, and the coppery stench of blood. Stephanie stands frozen for a precious second, the images of her fiery vision superimposing themselves over the real attack. This is how it starts. This is the beginning of the end. Her wolf, usually so submissive, surges to the surface with a protective fury she's never felt. Her mate is in danger. The thought is primal, absolute. She doesn't think. She runs toward the fray, not away from it. She skirts the main combat, staying in the shadows, her eyes scanning the chaos for Obed. She finds him at the heart of the storm. He is a whirlwind of destruction, a true alpha king unleashed. He moves between forms, man and wolf, with seamless, brutal grace, dismantling rogue attackers with terrifying efficiency. But there are too many. They fight with a frenzied, unnatural strength, their eyes glazed with a faint red haze, just like in her vision. She sees it a second before it happens. A massive rogue, bigger than the others, lunges from a blind spot behind Obed, its jaws aimed for his throat. Obed is engaged with two others, his back exposed. Stephanie doesn't scream. She acts. A strange power, cold and sharp, floods her veins. Time seems to slow. She focuses on the attacking rogue, on the space between its muscles and bones, and pushes with her mind. There's no sound, but the rogue stumbles mid-lunge, its shoulder joint cracking audibly. It howls in pain and surprise, its lethal strike turning into a clumsy stumble. It's all the opening Obed needs. He senses the shift, spins, and delivers a killing blow without a second glance. His eyes sweep the area, looking for what caused the aberration. They land on her, hiding in the archway. She's panting, her body trembling from the unfamiliar exertion of her power. He sees her. He sees the fading silver glow in her own eyes. He knows. His expression is one of pure, unadulterated shock. She didn't just have a vision. She acted. She used a power she shouldn't possess to protect him. The mate bond between them flares, hot and bright and fierce with something new. Not just desire or dread, but raw, undeniable partnership.
The battle is over as quickly as it began. The remaining rogues scatter into the forests, leaving behind their dead and wounded. The courtyard is a mess of blood and torn earth. Obed barks orders, his voice hoarse but steady, directing the cleanup, checking on his wounded warriors. He is every inch the king. But his attention is fractured. Every few seconds, his gaze cuts to Stephanie, who is helping a dazed student to their feet. The look in his eyes is no longer just conflicted, it's revolutionized. She is not a passive victim waiting for her fate. She is a seer, a fighter, his protector. He finishes giving orders to Stefan and strides toward her. The crowd parts for him. He doesn't stop until he's right in front of her. He smells of sweat, iron, and pine. His armor is splattered with blood that isn't his. "What did you do?" he asks, his voice low, meant only for her. I don't know," she whispers, honestly. "I saw it lunging and I just stopped it." "You broke its shoulder from 20 yards away." It's not an accusation, it's awe. He reaches out, and for a heart-stopping moment, she thinks he'll cup her face again. Instead, his fingers gently brush a spot of blood from her cheek. The touch is intimate, possessive, a king claiming his queen in front of his entire court. A ripple of shock goes through the gathered crowd. Cassius, watching from the sidelines, his face is a mask of cold fury. Obed seems to realize the public display. His hand drops. "You will come to the war council. Tonight. You will tell them what you saw before the attack. All of it." His tone leaves no room for argument. He is not asking his mate. He is commanding a valuable asset. It should feel cold, but it feels like validation. For the first time, he is not just seeing the woman he's destined to kill. He's seeing the weapon she might be able to wield for him.
The War Council chamber is a tense, silent room. Mops are spread across a large table. Obed sits at the head, with Stefan, Cassius, and other high-ranking generals and advisors around him. Stephanie stands near the door, feeling like an intruder. "The girl?" Cassius scoffs, breaking the silence. "My king, with respect, we are discussing matters of security and war. A seer's fantasies have no place here." His disdain is a physical force in the room. Obed's voice is like ice. She is not the girl. She is Stephanie Nightshade, and her fantasy, as you call it, accurately predicted the timing and nature of this attack. She will speak. All eyes turn to her. Her mouth is dry. She feels small and insignificant under their skeptical gazes. She looks at Obed. He gives her a single, barely perceptible nod. "I am here. Speak." She takes a shaky breath. She tells them. She leaves out the part about Obed's grief and her death, focusing on the key elements: the shadowy figure with red eyes controlling the rogues, the orchestrated nature of the attacks, the deliberate attempt to destabilize the kingdom to force the king's hand. "It's a trap," she finishes, her voice gaining strength. "The prophecy is being used as a weapon against us. Fulfilling it is what they want. It's what will cause the fall." The room is silent for a beat, then erupts. "Preposterous! The word of a nervous girl against an ancient oracle? My king, this is dangerous heresy." Cassius slams his hand on the table. "She is twisting the facts to save her own skin. She fears her destiny and now seeks to corrupt our most sacred traditions with these lies." He spits the word. Through the din, Stephanie locks eyes with Obed. He is listening to his counsel, but he is watching her. He sees her truth. He feels it through the bond. The public validation she felt earlier evaporates. She is alone against centuries of tradition and a room full of powerful wolves who want her dead. Her theory feels foolish now, a desperate plea. Obed raises a hand. The room falls silent. "We will investigate the origins of these rogues more deeply. We will look for evidence of coordination, of a leader." It's a compromise. He's not dismissing her, but he's not fully embracing her truth either. He's playing the politician. The hope that had bloomed in her chest during the battle withers and dies. The king has spoken. The discussion is over. She has been heard, and ultimately ignored.
Humiliated, Stephanie flees the council chamber. The cold stone corridors seem to mock her. She believed, for a moment, that she had gotten through to him, that he saw her as an equal. She was a fool. She is still just a pawn in a game she doesn't understand, her value contingent on a power she can't control. She doesn't hear him following her. She feels him. The bond is a storm of frustration and simmering anger, his anger and hers. She quickens her pace, wanting to be anywhere but near him. "Stephanie." His voice echoes behind her, a command. She ignores him, turning down a deserted hallway leading to the residential quarters. His footsteps speed up. "Stop!" She whirls around to face him, her own anger finally boiling over. "Why? So you can tell me again how my insights were valuable, but ultimately inconvenient?" So you can ask me to have another convenient vision that fits your council's narrative? He catches up to her, his expression dark. You will not speak to me that way. Or what? She challenges, tears of frustration in her eyes. You'll kill me? Get a head start on your duty? He growls, a low, dangerous sound that vibrates in her bones. In 2 strides, he has her pinned against the cold wall, his hands braced on either side of her head, caging her in. He's not hurting her, but the display of dominant power is unmistakable. His body is heat and solid muscle, his scent overwhelming. You think this is easy for me? He snarls, his face inches from hers. His gold eyes are blazing. You think I enjoy listening to them dismiss you? You think I don't feel your humiliation as if it were my own? He's breathing heavily, his control stretched to its limit. Every instinct I have is screaming at me to tear apart every wolf in that room who looked at you with disrespect, to claim you in front of them all so they never doubt your place again. But I can't, because if I do, Cassius will call it the madness of the bond. He will say I am unfit to rule and move to force the prophecy himself. She is trembling, but not from fear. From the raw, unfiltered torrent of his emotions, his protectiveness, his rage on her behalf. He's not angry at her, he's angry for her. Then what are we doing? She whispers, her defiance crumbling into despair. We're just waiting for the end. His anger deflates, replaced with a profound weariness. His forehead drops against hers. No. He breathes. We are gathering evidence. I believed you, every word, but I am not a tyrant. I cannot overturn generations of belief on the word of my mate alone. I need proof, hard proof, or else I risk civil war. He says the word mate like a prayer and a curse. You have to trust me, even when it seems like I am not listening. Trust that I am. It's a plea. From the Alpha King to his seer. The wall between them crumbles. Her hand comes up, her fingers tentatively brushing against the rough stubble on his jaw. He closes his eyes at the touch, a shudder running through him. I trust you, she whispers. And for the first time, she truly means it.
The fragile understanding lasts for 3 days. 3 days of stolen glances in the halls, of the bond humming with a new, tentative connection. 3 days of Obed working in the shadows, with Stefan as his only confidant, investigating the rogue leads. Stephanie is in the library with Celeste, who is trying to teach her to shield her mind from the constant barrage of external emotions, a crucial skill for an empath in a den of wolves. Focus, Celeste instructs. Build a wall of moonlight in your mind. Let nothing in you don't invite. She tries, but her focus is shattered by a wave of cold fury that isn't her own. It's Obed's, and it's close. The library doors burst open. Obed stands there, his face a thundercloud. In his hand, he clutches a single, silver-tipped arrow, the kind used by royal hunters. He strides directly toward her, ignoring Celeste completely. He throws the arrow on the table between them. It clatters loudly in the silent room. Explain this, he grinds out, his voice vibrating with barely contained rage. Stephanie stares at the arrow, confused. I can't. What is it? It was found, he says, each word dripping with icy venom, in the chambers of a captured rogue. Hidden, along with this. He throws down a small folded piece of parchment. It's a map of the academy grounds, and in the corner, drawn in familiar, delicate handwriting, is a small nightshade flower. Her sigil, her personal mark. Her blood runs cold. Oh, but no, I would never. The evidence is rather compelling, Stephanie, he roars, and the library windows rattle. Celeste takes a step back, eyes wide.
First you come to me with tales of manipulation and lies, urging me to distrust my most loyal advisor. Then, when I don't move fast enough for you, you provide the enemy with intelligence? Were the visions even real, or was it all a ploy to get close to me, to destabilize my reign from within? The betrayal in his eyes is a knife to her heart. He believes it. He truly believes she could do this. After everything, the trust they built, the intimacy, shattered in an instant by a clever frame-up. "Who found this?" she asks, her voice surprisingly calm despite the devastation inside her. "Lord Cassius," he snarls. He insisted on leading the interrogation himself. He said the rogue broke easily. Of course, Cassius. The pieces snap together, but Obed is too blinded by hurt and betrayal to see it. "Get out of my sight," he says, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. "You are confined to your quarters, under guard until I decide what to do with you." The alpha command in his voice is absolute. Her body tenses, forced to obey. She looks at him, at the man who held her so gently just days ago, now looking at her as if he were her greatest enemy. The bond between them is a twisted, painful thing, flooded with his betrayal and her utter heartbreak. She turns and walks away, each step feeling like a march to her own execution.
The guards at her door are impersonal, their faces stoic. She is a prisoner. The four walls of her room, once a sanctuary, are now a cage. She paces, despair a cold weight in her stomach. Cassius has won. He played them perfectly. He used Obed's own sense of duty and his fear of betrayal against him, driving the exact wedge he needed to. The bond is a barren wasteland. Where there was once heat and connection, there is now only a cold, hollow ache. Obed has shut her out completely, walling himself behind his duty and his pain. She feels his absence like a physical amputation. Hours pass. The moon rises high outside her window. She sits on her bed, curled into a ball, too numb to even cry. She has never felt more alone. A soft tap at her window makes her jump. It's too high up for anyone to reach. She looks up. A small, smooth stone wrapped in a piece of parchment tumbles onto her floor. Heart-hammering, she unwraps it. The handwriting is not Obed's. It's neat and efficient. The evidence was planted. The rogue was coerced. Cassius is doing. The king's anger is a show for the court. He knows. He needs you to play your part. Stay strong. You are not alone. S. Stefan. The beta. The message is a lifeline in a black sea. Obed doesn't believe the lie. He's acting. He's playing Cassius's game to lull him into a false sense of security. The icy despair in her chest cracks, allowing a sliver of fierce, defiant hope to break through. Obed is fighting for her, for them, from the shadows. He needs her to play her part, the heartbroken, betrayed, confined mate. She can do that. She stands up, straightening her shoulders. She walks to the door and slams her palm against it. "Let me out," she cries, letting her very real anguish color her voice. "I demand to see the king. This is an outrage." The guards outside grunt, unmoved. Perfect. She continues her performance, pouring all her fear and frustration into the act. But inside, a new resolve hardens. Cassius thinks he's won. He thinks he's isolated the king and secured his fate, but he's underestimated them. He's underestimated the mate bond, and he's underestimated her. The scared girl from a fallen house is gone. In her place is a woman with a secret, a purpose, and a king fighting at her side, even if he can't be at her side. The game has changed. Now, it's their turn to lay a trap.
2 days of confinement. 2 days of playing the distraught prisoner, weeping when the guards can hear, staring blankly at the walls when they can't. 2 days of clinging to Stefan's note like a holy text, the words, "He knows her," only sustenance. The isolation is a crucible. Without the distractions of the court, without the terrifying, exhilarating presence of Obed, her mind turns inward. The psychic shields Celeste taught her become her obsession. She builds her wall of moonlight, brick by mental brick, not to keep emotions out, but to focus her own power. She practices on a dust mote floating in a sunbeam, trying to nudge it with her mind.
She tries to recall the exact feeling she had on the battlefield, that cold, sharp focus. At first, nothing happens. Then a faint shimmer around the particle, a tiny, controlled push. The dust mote dances. It's not much, but it's control. It's intentional. Her power is not just a passive thing that happens to her, it is a part of her she can command. On the third night, a new note arrives, same way. Be ready, midnight. That's all it says. Her heart hammers. Ready for what? Is it Obed? Is it Stefan? Or is it Cassius coming to finish the job under the cover of darkness? She spends the hours until midnight in a state of heightened alert, her every sense straining, her fledgling power coiled tight inside her. The lock on her door clicks open with a soft, precise sound. Not a key. It sounds like the mechanism was manipulated from the inside. The door opens, just a crack. Princess Celeste slips inside, a hood obscuring her features. She presses a finger to her lips. "No time," she whispers, her eyes bright with excitement and fear. "My brother is creating a diversion with Cassius, a fake council meeting about the urgent threat you supposedly pose. We have maybe 20 minutes. She throws a dark, hooded cloak at Stephanie. "Put this on. We're going to see the one person who might be able to make sense of all this." Stephanie doesn't hesitate. She pulls on the cloak. "Who?" Celeste grins, a sharp, dangerous expression. "The source of all the trouble. The Oracle, Morgana."
Celeste moves through the secret passages of the castle like a ghost. Stephanie follows, her senses overwhelmed by the smell of damp stone and ancient magic. They emerge not outside, but into a deeper, older part of the castle, a place that feels untouched by time. The air is thick with the scent of incense and dried herbs. They enter a circular chamber. The walls are covered in tapestries depicting celestial patterns and ancient prophecies. In the center, sitting by a small fire, is an ancient werewolf woman, Oracle Morgana. Her eyes are milky white, blind to the physical world, but they see too much else. "You've brought the Sierra, child," Morgana says, her voice like the rustling of dry leaves. "And the king's anger burns bright as a beacon, hiding his true intent. Sit, Stephanie Nightshade. We have little time." Stephanie approaches slowly, sinking onto a cushion opposite the oracle. "You know why I'm here. I know the weight of the destiny placed upon you, the one I spoke into being." Morgana's sightless eyes seem to look through her. "You seek to know if it is true? Is it? Must he kill me to save the kingdom?" Morgana is silent for a long moment. "The future is not a single path. It is a river with countless tributaries. The prophecy, the one the council cherishes, it speaks of one possible future, the darkest one, the easiest one." She leans forward. "Prophecies are not commands, child. They are warnings. I saw a kingdom bathed in fire, a king broken by grief, and a mate's blood on his hands. I spoke the vision to prevent it. But those who heard it, they twisted its purpose. They saw the sacrifice as the solution, not the catastrophe it heralds." Stephanie's breath catches. Her vision. The oracle is describing her vision. "So, my death? It causes the fall?" "In that path, yes," Morgana confirms. "The king's strength is not in his ruthlessness, but in his heart. To kill his heart is to kill the kingdom. The true threat does not come from a mate's love, but from the greed that seeks to exploit it." She reaches out a gnarled hand, and Stephanie takes it. A jolt of power passes between them. "The prophecy can be fulfilled another way. The blood that secures the realm is not death blood. It is life blood, legacy blood. The bond itself is the key, not its destruction." The theory she had in class, it was right. A sob of relief escapes Stephanie. "But Cassius, the council, they won't believe it. They want the old way." Morgana's grip tightens. "Then you must make them see. Your power is not just to see the future, child. It is to shape it. You are a seer, yes, but you are also a shield. You protected your king on the battlefield. You must now protect the truth. Your strength must become your certainty." The words settle into Stephanie's soul, a missing piece clicking into place. Shield, not victim, protector. The power inside her, the cold, sharp focus, hums in agreement. A distant crash echoes through the castle. Shouting. Celeste grabs Stephanie's arm. "The diversion is over. We have to go. Now." Morgana releases her hand. "Remember, seer, the blood of the bond is life, not death. Now go. Your king needs you whole, not broken."
They rush back through the passages, the oracle's words echoing in Stephanie's mind. Your strength must become your certainty. She is not a prisoner, she is a shield. She is a seer. She is the Alpha King's meat, and her blood is for life, not for death. They are nearly at her room when they turn a corner and come face to face with Lord Cassius. He stands there, arms crossed, a smirk of triumph on his face. Two of his personal guards flank him. "Princess," he says, his voice slick with false courtesy, "fancy meeting you here, and you've brought the prisoner out for a stroll. How treasonous." His eyes glint. "I knew the king's confinement order was too lenient. I suspected you might try something like this, trying to help the little traitor escape." "This is none of your concern, Cassius," Celeste snaps, stepping slightly in front of Stephanie. "On the contrary, the security of the realm is my utmost concern, and this seer is a clear and present danger. The king is too soft-hearted to do what is necessary. It seems I must take matters into my own hands, for the good of us all." He nods to his guards. "Take her to the dungeons, where she can't whisper any more of her poisonous lies." The guards step forward. Celeste shifts into a fighting stance, a low growl in her throat. "You will not touch her." Stephanie feels a surge of panic, but beneath it, the new certainty, the cold, sharp power. She places a hand on Celeste's arm, gently moving her aside. She steps forward, facing Cassius directly. She lowers her hood. "You are making a mistake, Lord Cassius," she says, her voice surprisingly steady, ringing with an authority she didn't know she possessed. He laughs. "I think not. I am fulfilling destiny. You are fulfilling your own ambition, and you are afraid of me. You're afraid of what I see. You're afraid of the truth." His smirk falters for a second. Her power is humming, ready. She focuses not on his body, but on his mind. She pushes past the oily surface, searching for the truth, for the memory of the planted arrow, the coerced rogue. A flash of vision hits her, not of the future, but of the recent past. Cassius in a dim room, handing a pouch of gold to a thin, desperate-looking rogue. "You will say you got the map from the Nightshade girl. You will describe her, and then you will be freed." The rogue's nervous nod. She gasps, her eyes locking with his. "You paid him, the rogue. You promised him freedom for his lie." Cassius's face goes pale with shock, then contorts with rage. "Silence, you witch!" He lunges for her, his claws extending. Time slows. Stephanie doesn't flinch. She raises her hand, palm out. She doesn't push his body, she pushes the air around him. She imagines a wall of solid moonlight slamming into him. The effect is visible. A shimmer of distorted air erupts from her palm. Cassius hits it and grunts, thrown backward as if he'd run into a stone wall. He stumbles, crashing into his own guards, a comical tangle of limbs and shock. The hallway falls silent. Celeste stares at her, mouth agape. The guards look from Cassius to Stephanie, fear in their eyes. Cassius slowly gets to his feet, his expression one of pure, unvarnished hatred, and a new, calculating fear. Stephanie stands tall, her hands still outstretched, thrumming with power. "The next time you try to lay a hand on me, I won't be so gentle. Now get out of my way."
She doesn't wait for his response. She steps over him, Celeste quickly following, and sweeps down the corridor back to her room, leaving a stunned and humiliated Cassius in her wake. The prisoner is gone. The queen has arrived.
Back in her room, the adrenaline fades, leaving her shaking. She just openly challenged one of the most powerful lords in the kingdom. She revealed her power. There's no going back from that. Celeste is buzzing with excitement. By the moon, Stephanie, how did you... What was that? I don't know, Stephanie admits, looking at her hand. It just came. The oracle said my power is to shape the future. I think that means I can shape the world around me. A little. A little, Celeste laughs. You threw Cassius across a hallway like a rag doll. This changes everything. It changes nothing, a new voice says from the doorway. They both start. Obed stands there, still dressed in his formal council robes. His expression is grim, but his eyes are alight with a fierce, proud intensity. He must have come straight from his meeting. My king, did you see? I felt it, he interrupts, his gaze fixed on Stephanie. A surge of power, of defiance, and his rage. He steps into the room, dismissing Celeste with a look. She slips out, closing the door behind her. Obed and Stephanie are alone. The air is thick with unsaid things. You were supposed to play the victim, he says, his voice low. He was going to put me in the dungeons, she counters, holding her ground. The victim wasn't going to cut it anymore. A slow, genuine smile touches his lips. It transforms his face, banishing the cold king and revealing the man beneath. No, I suppose she wasn't. He closes the distance between them. He doesn't touch her, but he drinks her in. His touch is reverent. You are not what I was told to fear, Stephanie Nightshade. You are what I was taught to never hope for. He leans his forehead against hers, and the love and hope in his eyes is so raw it steals her breath. I have spent my entire life preparing to make the ultimate sacrifice for my kingdom. I never once believed I could save it by embracing the very thing I was told to destroy. He reaches out, finally, and takes her face in his hands. His touch is reverent. Cassius will use what happened tonight against you, against us. He will call it an attack on a council member. He will demand your execution. What do we do? He pulls back, his eyes hardening into the gaze of a strategist, a king. But now she is beside him, not in front of him. We stop playing defense, he says, a predatory gleam in his gold eyes. We give him exactly what he wants. A public trial for you.
The great hall is packed. The air is thick with tension and the scent of anxious wolves. Stephanie stands in the center of the room, back straight, head held high. She wears a simple gray dress, but she feels clad in the certainty the oracle gave her. Obed sits on his throne, the picture of the stern, conflicted king. Cassius stands to his right, the picture of outraged nobility. The charges are treason and assault upon a member of the royal council, Cassius announces, his voice ringing through the hall. He recounts the events in the hallway with dramatic flair, painting himself as the victim of an unprovoked, powerful attack by a dangerous traitor. Her power is evident, and she used it against a loyal subject trying to uphold your law, my king. She must be put down for the safety of the realm. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. The evidence he presents, the arrow, the map with her flower, is damning. Obed listens, his face a stony mask. Stephanie says nothing. She waits. What does the accused say in her defense? Obed asks, his voice cold and formal. This is her cue. The trap is set. She takes a deep breath. projecting her voice to carry. "I say Lord Cassius is a liar and a traitor." Gasps fill the hall. Cassius's face purples with rage. "How dare you!" "The evidence was planted. The rogue was coerced. I did not attack Lord Cassius. I defended myself when he attempted to illegally imprison me. And I can prove it." She turns to Obed. "My king, I request permission to exercise my right as a seer, a truth-seeking. Let the magic of the moon goddess herself determine whose words are false." A dead silence falls. A truth-seeking is an ancient, dangerous ritual. It pulls raw, unfiltered memories from the minds of those involved. It cannot be faked, but it can break a weak mind. Cassius pales. "Ridiculous. We need no such—" "I grant the request," Obed says, his voice cutting through Cassius's protest. His eyes are on Stephanie, filled with unwavering trust. The goddess will judge. Stephanie closes her eyes. She doesn't need a ritual. She has her power. But they need a show. She raises her hands, calling upon the silver light that now feels like an old friend. It swirls around her, beautiful and terrifying. She focuses on Cassius, on the memory she saw in the hallway. "Let the truth be seen," she intones. She doesn't pull the memory from her own mind. She projects it. She uses her power to shape the air between them, to create a shimmering, silvery image for all to see. It's hazy, like a dream, but clear enough. There is Cassius, in a dim room, handing a pouch of gold to the rogue. His voice, slightly distorted, echoes in the silent hall. "You will say you got the map from the Nightshade girl." The hall erupts. Cassius stares, his face a mask of utter horror and disbelief. He wasn't prepared for this. He thought her power was limited to pushing things. He didn't know she could show things. The image fades. Stephanie sways slightly, the effort immense, but she holds her ground. She looks at Cassius. "That is the truth, my lord. You are the traitor here." Chaos. Obed rises from his throne, his power flooding the room, silencing everyone. "Lord Cassius, you are under arrest for treason, conspiracy, and bearing false witness." Guards move toward him. Cassius looks from Obed to Stephanie, to the furious faces of the court. His own face twists into a snarl of pure hatred. He is caught, trapped, but he is not finished.
As the guards grab his R's, Cassius throws his head back and laughs, a harsh, broken sound. "You think you've won? You foolish children! You have no idea what you are dealing with." He struggles against the guards, his eyes wild, fixed on Obed. "You cling to your mate. You defy the prophecy. You think love will save you? It will be your undoing. He is coming, and your love will make you weak. It will make you slow. It will be the chain that drags you both to hell." "Who?" Obed demands, stepping down from his throne. "Who is coming?" "The true Alpha, the one who understands that power is taken, not earned, the one who offered me a kingdom for my loyalty. He has been watching, waiting for you to be weakened by your attachment. Your defiance has simply made his victory easier." He spits on the floor at Obed's feet. "Kill me if you wish. It changes nothing. The prophecy will be fulfilled. Your kingdom will burn, and he will take your mate's blood himself and use it to paint his banners." The guards drag a screaming, raving Cassius from the hall. The silence he leaves behind is deafening, thick with fear and confusion. The court is shaken. Cassius's confession was more than they bargained for. There is a greater threat, a true Alpha, the shadowy figure from her visions. Obed looks at Stephanie. The victory of moments ago, now ashes in their mouths. They expose one traitor, only to have him reveal a much larger, more terrifying enemy. An enemy who has been counting on their struggle. An enemy who wants the prophecy fulfilled for his own ends. The threat is no longer internal, it's at the gates. And it has a name now, even if they don't know it yet. The king and his seer stand together in the center of the room, the eyes of the entire terrified court upon them. The trial is over. The war has just begun.
The council chamber is a war room now. Maps are littered with markers indicating rogue sightings, all converging on the same remote area of the borderlands. The Blackwood, a place of old magic and darker legends. Cassius's ravings, under the painful persuasion of Obed's interrogators, have given a name to their enemy, Kaelin, a banished alpha from a rival line who has long craved the Shadowbane throne. He's been building an army in the shadows, using dark magic to control the rogues, waiting for his moment. Obed's strategy is set. He will lead the bulk of his forces to the Blackwood to meet Kaelin head-on, a show of strength to draw his army out. It's a good plan, a king's plan. Stephanie listens, her new certainty chilling into a cold dread. She sees it. The logic is sound, but the future is not. She sees Obed's forces marching into an ambush. She sees Kaelin's real army, not mindless rogues, but disciplined, dark magic-infused warriors, flanking them. She sees Obed falling, not to Kaelin, but to a wolfsbane-coated arrow from the shadows. Cassius's knife. The vision is so vivid, so urgent, it makes her nauseous. She stands up, her chair scraping back. All eyes turn to her. "No," she says, her voice clear and strong in the room. "You can't go to the Blackwood. It's a trap." Obed looks at her, his expression pained. "Stephanie, we have intelligence." "Your intelligence is what Kaelin wants you to have," she insists. Walking to the map, she points to a different location, a narrow pass through the mountains called the Howling Gorge. "He's here. His main force is here. The Blackwood is a diversion, a small one. If you go there, you'll be surrounded. He'll pin your main army down and send a strike force here." She jabs her finger at the castle on the map. "To take the capital while it's undefended. To take me." The generals murmur, skeptical. One old wolf scoffs. "My lady, with respect, we are basing our strategy on verified scout reports, not visions." Obed holds up a hand, silencing him. His eyes are locked on Stephanie. He feels her terror through the bond, her absolute conviction. He trusts her, but he is also a king with advisors who need more than faith. He asks her, "Why the Howling Gorge?" His voice quiet. She closes her eyes, calling up the vision. "Because he's arrogant. He wants to humiliate you. He wants to defeat the mighty Alpha King in a place named for victory howls and turn it into a tomb. He thinks you'll never expect it." She stands up, pleading with him with her eyes. "Trust me, please." The room is silent. The weight of the decision rests on Obed. Duty and tradition demand he listen to his scouts, his generals. His heart, his bond, demands he listen to his mate. He looks at the map, then at Stephanie's desperate, determined face. He makes his choice. "We change the plan," he says, his voice ringing with final authority. "Beta Stephan, you will take 3/4 of the force to the Blackwood, make a show of it, loudly. The rest of you, with me, we march to the Howling Gorge, in silence, and we take Kaelin's arrogance and we break it over our knees." The generals stare in disbelief, but it is an order. Obed has bet his kingdom, his life, and the lives of his men on the word of his seer. He walks over to Stephanie and takes her hand, right there in front of everyone. "You are sure?" "I have never been more sure of anything in my life," she whispers. He nods, then turns back to his men. "Prepare for war."
The Howling Gorge is a place of jagged rock and whispering winds. Obed's reduced force is hidden among the cliffs, silent and waiting. Stephanie is at his side, dressed in light armor, her face set. He didn't want her here, but she insisted. "My visions are clearest at the source of the danger," she told him. "I am your shield. My place is with you." They don't have to wait long. Just as the moon reaches its zenith, Kaelin's army pours into the gorge below. It is exactly as she foresaw. Not a rabble of rogues, but a legion of hardened warriors, their eyes glowing with the same faint red haze. And at their head, a giant of a wolf with jet-black fur and eyes like burning coals, Kaelin. He laughs, a sound that echoes cruelly off the stone walls. Where is the mighty Shadowbane? Hiding? He sends his puppies to greet me? His army jeers. Obed gives the signal. The trap is sprung. Obed's warriors, positioned above, rain down arrows, then follow with an avalanche of rock and fury. The gorge becomes a killing field. Kaelin's army, caught completely by surprise, falls into disarray. Stephanie stays close to Obed, her power extended like a net. She doesn't fight with claws. She fights with her mind. She deflects arrows meant for his back. She causes a patch of ground to become slick under the feet of an advancing group. She is his shield, just as she promised, a shimmer of silver energy in the chaos of the battle. Obed and Kaelin meet in the center of the fray, a clash of titans. Obed is grace and focused power. Kaelin is brute strength and dark magic. They are evenly matched. Stephanie feels a familiar cold malice. She spins around. Cassius has broken free from the prisoner's hold. He stands on a ledge above the fighting, a crossbow in his hands, aimed directly at Obed's back. The wolf's bane tipped bolt glints in the moonlight, just like in her vision. There's no time to shout a warning, no time to push the air. There is only instinct. She moves. She throws herself in front of Obed just as Cassius pulls the trigger. The impact is brutal. The bolt slams into her shoulder, not her heart. Agony, white-hot and searing, explodes through her body. The wolf's bane poison fires through her veins like ice. She cries out, collapsing. Obed hears her cry. He turns, sees her falling, sees Cassius reloading. His roar of rage and grief shakes the very foundations of the gorge. The sound is exactly from her vision. But this time, it is not a sound of defeat. It is a battle cry.
The world narrows to pain and cold. Stephanie feels the wolf's bane working, paralyzing her, stealing her breath. She can only watch as Obed's world shatters and reforms in an instant. He sees her on the ground, the poison spreading. He sees Cassius, the architect of so much pain. The conflict that has defined him, duty versus love, evaporates. There is no choice. There is only her. With a steed that is more than wolf, more than king, he moves. He doesn't go for Kaelin, he goes for Cassius. He leaps onto the ledge, grabbing the crossbow and crushing it in his hands. Cassius snarls, shifting to fight, but he is no match for the raw, unleashed fury of a mated alpha whose partner is dying. Obed doesn't kill him with claws. He kills him with his hands, a brutal, efficient, personal end to the traitor. He throws the body from the ledge like garbage. Then he is back at Stephanie's side, gathering her into his arms. "No! No! Stephanie! Look at me!" His voice is ragged, desperate. He is not the king. He is a man begging for the life of his world. Through the haze of pain, she feels it. The bond. It's not just a connection now. It's a conduit. His strength, his life force, pours into her through the touch of his hands on her skin, through the desperate connection of their souls. The wolf's bane's advance slows. The ice in her veins meets the fire of his will. "Fight it," he commands, his forehead against hers, his tears mixing with the sweat on her face. "You are my mate. You are a queen. You are my shield. You do not get to leave me. Fight it." His love, his power, his absolute refusal to accept her fate becomes a tangible force. The silver light of her own power, dampened by the poison, flickers back to life, fueled by his. The wound in her shoulder begins to glow, the wolf's bane-infused flesh burning away, purified by the combined strength of their bond. She gasps, drawing in a ragged breath.
The paralysis recedes, her eyes focus on his. "Obed," she whispers. He holds her tighter, a sob of relief wrenching from his chest. The prophecy said her blood would secure the realm. In this moment, it is not her blood spilled in sacrifice, but their joined power, their shared strength, that becomes the catalyst. The king's love did not make him weak. It made him invincible.
The battle around them has slowed. Their warriors, inspired by the king's display of raw power and devotion, are pushing Kylan's forces back. Kylan himself watches the scene, not with anger, but with a strange, frustrated fascination. Obed helps Stephanie to her feet. She is weak but alive. The wound is closed, a silver-scarred mark over her heart. They stand together, facing Kylan. "A pretty display," Kylan snarls, though his confidence is shaken. "But it changes nothing. The prophecy will be fulfilled, one way or another." He lunges at Obed, aiming to finish what Cassius started. But Obed is ready, and he is not alone. Stephanie doesn't try to fight physically. She focuses her power not on Kylan's body, but on the dark magic that infuses him. She sees it now, a pulsing, rotten cord connecting him to his army, the source of their control. She reaches out with her mind, and with a sharp mental twist, she severs it. The effect is instantaneous. The red haze vanishes from the eyes of Kylan's warriors. They blink, confused, disoriented, their will returned to them. Many lower their weapons, looking around in shame and horror. Kylan stumbles, his power source cut off. He screams in fury and disbelief. "What did you do?" "I ended it," Stephanie says, her voice strong. "Your power was never your own. It was stolen, just like you tried to steal a kingdom." Enraged and weakened, Kylan makes one last desperate lunge, but Obed is there. He meets the attack, and this time it is no contest. Without his dark magic, Kylan is just a bitter, banished wolf. Obed disarms him, pins him, and with a final powerful blow, knocks him unconscious. The gorge falls silent. The fight is over. Obed stands over his defeated foe, chest heaving. He looks at Stephanie. The love and awe in his eyes says everything. Together, they did not just win a battle. They broke a curse.
They stand on the balcony of the reclaimed castle, looking out over a kingdom beginning to heal. The rogue threat is over. Kylan is in the dungeons, awaiting judgment. The wolves he controlled have been offered redemption and a chance to reintegrate. The air is clean, smelling of rain and new beginnings. Obed's arm is around Stephanie, holding her close against him. The bond between them is no longer a painful screaming thing. It is a quiet, steady hum of rightness, of peace, of immense power held in perfect balance. "The prophecy," Stephanie says softly, "it was fulfilled." Obed nods, resting his chin on her head. "It was. My reign was secured by your blood, not your death blood." He turns her to face him, his hand gently touching the silver scar on her shoulder. "But your lifeblood, the blood we spilled together, the blood that proved our bond is our greatest strength, not our greatest weakness." He kneels before her, there on the balcony, in front of the entire recovering court. He takes her hand. "Stephanie Nightshade, my seer, my shield, my mate. You have saved me. You have saved my kingdom. You have rewritten our destiny. I do not need a prophecy to tell me my fate. My fate is you. Will you rule beside me, not as a queen who was spared, but as the queen who saved us all?" Tears of joy stream down her face. This is the fulfillment, not a death, but a coronation. Not an ending, but a glorious beginning. "Yes," she whispers, her voice full of love and certainty.
He stands, sweeping her into his arms as the court below erupts into cheers and howls of celebration, not for a king who made a sacrifice, but for two rulers who had chosen each other, and in doing so, had chosen life for everyone.
Weeks later, the official coronation is a spectacle of light and hope. But the moment that matters most happens in private, in the sacred grove where Stephanie's power first truly awoke. Oracle Morgana stands before them, her sightless eyes seeing everything. "The old prophecy is fulfilled and complete," she intones. "Its purpose is served. A new era begins, one not written by me, but by you." She places her hands on their joined ones. "Let the new covenant be sealed not in blood, but in promise. Promise to lead with strength and compassion. Promise to protect each other as you protect your people. And promise to never let fear of the future blind you to the possibilities of the present." They make their promises, not to the oracle, but to each other. The air shimmers with a new, gentle magic. The past is finally, truly laid to rest. Later, as they stand together watching the moon rise, Stephanie feels a new kind of vision, not of fear, but of hope. She sees years stretching before them. She sees challenges, yes, but also joy. She sees a kingdom thriving. She sees a little girl with Obed's gold eyes and her own silver light running through these very gardens, laughing. She smiles, leaning her head against his shoulder. "It's over," she says. Obed kisses her hair. "No, my love," he whispers, "it's just begun." The scared seer from a fallen house is gone. The cold king bound by duty is gone. In their place stand a queen, powerful and sure, and a king, redeemed by love, their destinies finally and forever their own.
The throne is no longer a seat of cold, solitary duty. It is a partnership. Obed's throne, once a stark monument of obsidian and silver, now has a second, slightly smaller throne beside it, crafted from moonstone and woven silver branches, a mirror to Stephanie's power. They sit there together, hearing petitions, dispensing justice, ruling not as a king and his consort, but as equal partners. The change in the kingdom is palpable. The air, once thick with fear and whispered prophecies, now buzzes with hope and rebuilding. Stephanie's influence is everywhere. She advocates for the reformed rogues, creating a system of rehabilitation instead of punishment. She uses her seer abilities not as a secret, but as a tool for the kingdom's benefit, helping to find resources, mediate disputes, and foresee natural problems before they become disasters. She is no longer Stephanie Nightshade, the seer from a fallen house. She is Queen Stephanie, the Silver Shield, beloved by the people for her compassion and her strength. She wears her title as comfortably as she wears her newfound power, not as a weapon, but as an extension of her will to protect. Obed watches her with a quiet awe every day. The man who was once burdened by a destiny of blood now finds his purpose in building a legacy of life. His love for her is not a weakness he must hide. It is the cornerstone of his strength, celebrated by all. Together, they are a united front, a perfect balance of shadow and light, of strength and wisdom.
The dungeons are cold, but Stephanie insists on going herself. Obed is at her side, a silent, formidable presence. They stand before Kalen's cell. He sits in the corner, his dark power gone, leaving only a hollowed-out shell of a wolf. He looks up, his eyes no longer burning coals, but dull with defeat. "Come to gloat, queen?" he spits. "No," Stephanie says, her voice calm. "I came to understand. Why? Why all this hatred, this destruction?" Kalen laughs, a dry, brittle sound. "You wouldn't understand. You who were given everything, the bond, the crown, the love. He says the word like a curse. I was banished from my pack for being too ambitious, for wanting more. The dark magic, it offered me a path to take what I felt I deserved. The prophecy was the perfect tool. It made your king doubt his own heart. It made him vulnerable. Obed steps forward, his expression not angry, but grimly sad. You sought a throne, but you never understood what it means to rule. It is not about taking, it is about protecting. You were offered a chance at redemption within my kingdom, long ago. You refused. Kalen looks away, the truth of it hitting its mark. His ambition blinded him to everything else. Stephanie feels a pang of pity for the broken creature before her. His punishment is not death or eternal imprisonment. It is to live with the emptiness of his choices, to see the kingdom he tried to destroy flourish without him. It is a far more fitting sentence.
The royal chambers feel like a home, not just rooms. Sunlight streams through the windows. Obed is at his desk, reviewing trade agreements, but his attention is on Stephanie. She stands on the balcony, one hand resting on her slightly rounded abdomen, a secret they have shared for only a few weeks, the embodiment of their lifeblood, their legacy. He comes up behind her, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her close against his chest. He nuzzles her neck, inhaling her scent, jasmine, moonlight, and now a new, vibrant note of potential, a future. "Are you well?" he murmurs, his voice full of a tenderness that still makes her heart ache. "Perfect," she sighs, leaning back into him. She places her hand over his, which rests on her stomach. "She's happy today." Obed stills. "She?" Stephanie smiles, a secret, knowing smile. "She." A joy so profound it steals his breath, washes through him. A daughter, an heir born not of a cursed prophecy, but of a blessed union. He turns her in his arms, his gold eyes shining with unshed tears. He kisses her, deeply, pouring all his love, his gratitude, his awe into it. The bond between them sings, not with the desperate intensity of before, but with a deep, resonant harmony, a melody of contentment and boundless love. This is what they fought for. This is what they saved. This quiet, perfect moment.
She stands before the full-length mirror. The gown is midnight blue, embroidered with silver threads that mimic the patterns of her own psychic energy. It fits her perfectly, hugging the new curves of her body. Her silver scar is visible above the neckline, no longer a mark of pain, but a badge of honor, of survival. She barely recognizes the woman in the reflection. The fear in her eyes is gone, replaced by a calm, gentle authority. The slouch of someone trying to be invisible is replaced by a queen's posture. This is not a disguise. This is who she always was, finally allowed to emerge. Obed enters the room, stopping short when he sees her. His breath catches. "You are..." He struggles for words, shaking his head. "You are breathtaking." He walks to her, taking her hands. "I once told you this bond was inconvenient," he says, a smile touching his lips. "I was a fool. It is the most convenient, wonderful, miraculous thing that has ever happened to me." He kisses her hands. "My queen, my mate, my everything." She laughs, the sound light and free. "You've come a long way, King Shadowbane." "Thanks to you," he says, his voice sincere. "You saw the man behind the crown. You believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself." He pulls her into a dance, there in their chambers, with no music but the sound of their joined hearts. They are no longer a king and a seer bound by a fatal prophecy. They are simply Obed and Stephanie, bound by a love that reshaped the world.
The celebration for the official end of the rebuilding is a grand affair. The entire kingdom is invited to the castle grounds. There is music, laughter, and the smell of roasting meat and sweet pastries. Children run between the legs of warriors and nobles alike. Stephanie and Obed walk among their people, not separated by guards or formality, but touching, talking, laughing. They are not distant rulers. They are the heart of the pack. An old she-wolf approaches, bowing deeply. "My queen," she says, her voice raspy with age. "I knew your grandmother. She would be so proud of the woman you have become. The kingdom is safe because of you." Tears prick Stephanie's eyes. This acceptance, this belonging is more than she ever dreamed possible. She is not an outsider. She is their queen. She finds Celeste and Stefan dancing together, their own romance having bloomed quietly during the war. She shares a look with her sister-in-law, a look of pure, unadulterated happiness. The nightmare is over. The dawn has come. She looks out over the smiling faces, over the kingdom bathed in moonlight instead of fire, and she knows this is her home. These are her people. This is her destiny, and she has never felt more free.
Later, on their balcony, under the same moon where their story almost ended before it began, Stephanie leans against the railing. Obed stands behind her, his arms around her, his hands splayed protectively over their growing child. "Do you ever think about it?" she asks softly. "The other path, the one where you—" She can't finish. He is silent for a moment. "Every day," he admits, his voice rough. "It is the ghost that haunts my happiest moments, a reminder of what I almost lost, of what we almost became." He holds her tighter. "But we didn't. We chose each other. We chose to fight. We chose to love. And that choice, that is more powerful than any destiny ever written." She turns in his arms, looking up at the man she loves, her king, her mate, the father of her child. The golden eyes that once haunted her dreams with promises of death now look at her with a love so deep it feels eternal. "I would choose you," she whispers, "in every lifetime, in every version of our story. I would always find you, and I would always choose you." He kisses her under the moon that witnessed their beginning and now blesses their forever. The prophecy is a forgotten echo. The only thing that matters is the here, the now, and the beautiful, boundless future they built together.
And so, the story of Obed and Stephanie comes to a close. We hope you loved their journey from a fate of certain death to a destiny of endless love. If this story captured your heart, do us a huge favor and help others find it. Smash that like button right now. It really helps YouTube share our stories with more listeners like you. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications by clicking the bell. That way, you'll never miss our next romantic escape. Let us know what you think in the comments. What was your favorite moment? Was it Obed's first confession on the balcony? Stephanie's powerful stand against Cassius? We read every single comment and love hearing from you. Your support is what allows us to keep creating these full-length stories for you. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.